Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to round 3 of season 3 of our F1 25 My Team Career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here in Sakhir for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live a few days ago from Suzuka, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. The first 2 races so far this campaign have been very interesting, and I cannot wait for more of it as we head into this weekend. Taking a quick look at the current championship order, as you can see, Max Verstappen 20 points clear of Lando Norris up at the top of the table. Yuki Tsunoda just 1 point ahead of ourselves, as the battle kind of behind that top 2 is looking very tasty. Esteban Ocon, he's been consistent so far. Leclerc, of course, getting his first points of the year last weekend as well, just ahead of both of those Mercedes. Constructors-wise, I think Mercedes is probably going to be our closest rival this season. Both George and Oscar seem to be able to score points reliably, but yeah, they both really struggled last weekend out in Japan as well, and you know, we've just got to keep trying to score as many big points as we can early on this season. A massive thank you to everybody so far for the support on the videos as well. You know, we're trying to hit 150k subs on the channel, so if you are new, please do make sure you hit that like, get yourself subscribed, and if you want early access to these videos as well, you can click the join button below for just £1 a month. But yeah, without further ado, let's return here to Bahrain. Hopefully another big result is on the cards.
Well, as the sun goes down, the speeds go up. It's almost time to get underway for this shootout for the fastest time and the best possible grid position for tomorrow's race. Let's get on with it. It's qualifying for the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Well, heading out then for the first time under the floodlights here in F1 25 with our all-new CADILLAC car, and I must admit, it looks absolutely stunning here. The dark red, the black, all work together to make a fantastic combination. But let's see whether that combination is as quick as it looks into Q1. We've obviously made Q3 in the opening 2 Grand Prix so far. I would love to try and make a 3rd appearance. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be making Q3 pretty reliably this season. But as we all know, the AI can be a little bit inconsistent with some of their runs inside this game. I've actually got Lance Stroll tucked up behind me in his Aston Martin Honda trying to go for a run. But hopefully he won't cause us any problems. Purple through that first sector there, I mean, that's pretty much flat out through those S's. The amount of grip these cars have got is just ridiculous. Making our way then down in towards the final couple of corners. Purple, like we said, in Sector 1. A decent time through Sector 2 as well. We're a long way up on the provisional set by Zach O'Sullivan. That was the comparison we were racing against. 25-4. We go P3 immediately there, just behind the Ferraris. So we definitely should have the pace for that final session. Well, there we are then. Although it's probably still a little bit too early to be making sweeping statements, Ferrari seem to have brought the heat here to Bahrain. Charles Leclerc 25-0, Lando Norris 25-3. Of course, all eyes will be on Max Verstappen. Can he make it 3 wins in a row to kickstart the season? Slower than his teammate in Q1. Alex Albon, 2 seconds slower than myself, finds himself down in P18. That's quite a big disappointment for our teammate once again then, as Gabriel Bortoletto in that Audi sees Q2. Oscar Piastri as well struggling, down in P12. Probably would do us some good in the Constructors if he didn't make Q3. Well, one of the other things that seems to be more and more prominent this season, I don't know whether it's because the cars are quicker or if there's just something else going on inside F1 25, but it's just how much the tracks ramp up as we make our way through Q2 and Q3. Carlos Sainz provisionally fastest now on a 1:24.8. Genuinely wouldn't surprise me if by the end of qualifying we don't see AI down into like the 1:23s or something like that. As I said, goal number 1 is just make it into that final session, and then from there we can really kind of decipher whether we're able to really upset any of our top runners. A little bit wayward through that first sector that time. Had a good few tenths down on what I did in Q1. Really nice and tidy then through Sector 2, just trying to work out the lines that kind of work for us, how much battery we can use, so we can really try and get a lap nailed out in Q3. Ideally, I want to try and get through on just this single run in the second session yet again. Actually used all of my battery that time, but again, we run, well, this time at 25.3, so we are finding a bit more time. Well, there we go then. By the end of Q2, that time by Carlos Sainz for 24.8 looked very, very competitive there. Just ahead of Oscar Piastri, Esteban Ocon and myself. This time round, I knew I spoke too soon. Ferrari apparently beginning to struggle. One driver that hasn't really shown kind of all his cards yet. Max Verstappen, again, down in P7. Doesn't look like we've had any major surprises. Franco Colapinto doing a really good job, seemingly to get the better of Pierre Gasly early on this campaign. But it is your big four teams, myself and a Williams into Q3. I wonder how many times I've said that now on F1 25. Well, Charles Leclerc has done it then, a 1:23.964. We'd need to find an entire second if I want to try and put this car on pole position. Not that I sensibly believe we're in that fight this weekend then, but can we just find a little bit more? Maybe move ourselves up past the likes of Russell and Esteban Ocon. We're already quicker than one Mercedes here. I want to be quicker than both. Slightly later on the brakes into turn one. A little bit more aggressive on the anchors there. Make sure we get the car slowed down. Looks like Piastri's improved. Ocon's improved as well then. So everybody's still finding grip, but that's good to know. That means there is speed in the circuit there as trying to get the car slowed down a little bit earlier up over the top of the hill. Again, just try and get the car hooked up over that inside curbing. Definitely a little bit of time to find down here as we don't lock the rears that time around and hopefully can carry the speed off of the corner. I reckon like a 24.5 is doable if I absolutely nailed it. As long as we don't run wide through there. Don't really want to use that exit curb if you can avoid it. You can just see the time is slowly coming in the right direction. Down towards Sector 3 though. Still got a lot of tricky corners to try and get hooked up. So far so good then. I really want to try and make sure we get a good time on the board. Really attack the curb there through the top of the hill, through the penultimate corner. Again, we just seem to have got about a 1/10.5 in the pocket. But can't seem to find much more. Big send in towards this final corner. Late on the brakes. Avoid taking too much of the inside curb. Use the exit curb as best as we can. We're going to find about another quarter of a second then on the run to the line. We go P6. Well, I'll be honest, I think we pretty much got everything out of the car that I possibly could there. Maybe, like I said, another 10th or two in it, but that might just have put us ahead of Yuki Tsunoda by the end of qualifying. Charles Leclerc fastest, Verstappen and Sainz tied, though, on a 1:24.392, so they both weren't far away from my pole prediction time there. Lando Norris will end up 4th, almost half a second away from his teammate, but yeah, very, very tight between Tsunoda, myself, Esteban Ocon and George Russell there by the end of qualifying. Franco Colapinto, just happy to be there in Q3, but we've got the pace to fight. Let's get into the race.
It started as a day race, now it runs at night. Welcome to the Bahrain International Circuit and welcome to the Bahrain Grand Prix. Formula One returns to the desert today on this exceptional 3.36-mile circuit. 15 corners provide plenty of overtaking opportunities, and it could be a strategic race, this one, with Sakhir notorious for eating up the rear tyres. Watch out for drivers managing their rubber at some point during the Grand Prix. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And a very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Tsunoda, Isaac Hadjar and Ocon, Russell, Piastri, Colapinto and Pierre Gasly, Leclerc, Stroll, Andrea Kimi Antonelli and Lawson, Bortoletto, Behrman, Jack Crawford and Alex Albon, Doohan, Hulkenberg, Aaron and Zach O'Sullivan rounds off the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race.
Well, there we go then. A little bit interesting. Some grid penalties coming at the start of the race. Charles Leclerc, who did line up on pole position with that brilliant lap yesterday, he will line up further back. So will Yuki Tsunoda. So we found ourselves up then in P5 by the end of qualifying. I want to try and start on the mediums. I think the one-stop strategy is going to be the way to go this afternoon. So we will wait and see whether that is possible there. We'll need to take the mediums about 13 laps and then the hards to the checkered flag. But yeah, I don't know what the AI are going to do, but often we find in this game that the team will tell me I have to two-stop, and then the AI will one-stop and I get completely screwed over. Hopefully, not going to allow that to happen today. Let's do this thing then. Ready on the grid. Bahrain Grand Prix time. The 5 red lights are on. It's lights out. And oh wait, we go. They hesitated a little bit off the start. Someone that hasn't though is Max Verstappen. They're down in towards turn 1. As Carlos Sainz tries to have a look down the outside through that first corner. We've got a little bit of wheel banging going on as everybody just tries to stay out of too much trouble. It's all getting very, very squirrely on the exit there as Russell will bully us down into P7 then, straight off the getaway. But again, just got to try and stay out of trouble. A lot of drivers opting to start even on the hard compound tyre for Yuki Tsunoda, who I might have got a bit mistaken with and thought he was still in the Red Bull, so I apologise for that. It was just Leclerc, I believe, that took grid penalties at the start of this race there. As back down the inside of George, down at the hairpin there. We'll say thank you very much to them and try and hang on to this P6 position off the start of the Grand Prix. Like I said, I would assume, unless you're on a set of the soft compound tyres, you're most likely going to be one-stopping this race. So nice to know that you just cannot listen to the AI inside F1 25. Tsunoda, though, you've got to be able to try and capitalise on him early on those hard tyres. They will take a couple of laps to fire up and really get up to speed there, and you can already see Norris and that top 3 kind of starting to streak away into a bit of an early lead. Got to make sure we keep the car nice and planted though, as I think Kimi Antonelli has moved up inside your top 10 on lap 1 then, so a flying start by the young Italian. Can we get a run though on Tsunoda back into towards turn 1 as Verstappen already streaking into an early lead. Look at Ocon moving up into P2, so Ocon has had an absolute flyer of a start as well then. Around the outside of Yuki we shall go. Tries to give us some room there, as I think Russell considered making it 3 wide. Sainz really struggling on his soft compounded tyre, but we've used pretty much all of our battery then on the opening lap, but luckily those 3 cars in front really getting the elbows out as well. Unfortunately, it's just allowing Verstappen to run away. There we go, Lando Norris then trying to immediately make a move on Esteban Ocon, as I believe, yeah, both Ocon and Sainz are on soft compound tyres here. So maybe Verstappen's done the same. As look at that, 3 wide by the time they get in towards someone there. That surely cannot work. And you can see Lando Norris forced to back out of it on the outside. He's going to again, though, try and make it 3 wide as we make our way up the hill. As Tsunoda there just waiting in the wings behind me. But 4 cars from 4 different teams trying to battle it out for the podium places early on. Ocon, very slow off the top of the hill there, but just didn't want to risk it trying to get down the inside of him. But like I said, yeah, all this does is gives Verstappen a huge lead up at the front of the order. Everybody putting on a show behind. It's almost like 2023 all over again. Here we go, Esteban Ocon again trying to have a look for a run around the outside of Carlos Sainz as the soft compound tyre gamble really don't think has worked out for these two very well early on. But using all of that battery on lap 1, we are now really, really struggling with it. Here comes Ocon to the inside of Carlos Sainz.
At the moment, just focus on the driving.
That is late on the brakes. Apologies. Sorry, Esteban Ocon. We'll just about get his stop there, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about hanging on to the place ahead of Carlos Sainz. If he gets a run on me up the hill, then I'll probably back out of it, but I think he's too busy battling now with his teammate Yuki Tsunoda. I'm just happy I didn't take anybody's front wing off there. I might have to let Sainz back through, though. I can see the AI looking rather dimly on that one. Well, the FIA haven't told me to give back up the spot then, so I'm going to claim it for now. As we've got an Aston Martin that's gone round down at turn 11 there, and I can only assume that's Lance Stroll. As Ocon, just trying to go a little bit defensive on me into turn 1. And that's a good sign then. Verstappen as well. He started this race on the softer compounded tyres, so we know he is definitely on a 2-stop strategy as well. Unless the Dutchman can perform some kind of miracle. As, yeah, the soft compound tyre for a lot of drivers not really working already. See Lando and I starting to close in on the Dutchman pretty much immediately. We've got yellows. Someone's breaking down. Is that a McLaren? Or is that Alex Albon again? Please don't tell me. Oh no, it's Albon again! Our teammate there is second mechanical failure in 3 Grand Prix. What on earth is happening to this Cadillac team, man? 2 mechanical failures. We've never had this much bad luck inside the game. As, yep, Albon, there you go, pulling off to the wayside. That is a huge, huge disappointment there, and once again brings the reliability of the team into question. Cadillac need to do something.
Alexander's dropped out of the race.
Yep. Oh, man. Always makes me a little bit nervous as well. Still yet to have my first mechanical failure inside this game. I know it's coming, I just don't know when. Oh, there we go. There we go. Verstappen in. Max Verstappen in then at the end of lap 9, so we know Ocon will have to go 1 extra lap. What tyre is the Dutchman going on to? I don't know, sadly, as there goes Esteban Ocon back in towards turn 1. I think if Max went to hards, he might just be able to stretch him out to the end of the race. Come on, Esteban, get on with it, man. Go for the... What's he doing? Goes for the overtake, and then just immediately decides he wants to park it on the exit of the corner there, down the inside again, up at the top of the hill. And now all this is doing is giving Lando Norris an opportunity to kind of try and run away. Just can't help but feel, yeah, the car's not bad, but in raw pace, it is not up to scratch against the Ferraris and the Red Bulls this season. But hopefully we can try and hang on. You know, if we can get another podium, I would not complain. Oh, there we go. Lando Norris. That's a very early pit stop in the Ferrari car then, as Ocon also peels in. Mercedes, both of them, opt to stay out. Oh, Tsunoda's in. What is going on with the AI strategy? And none of the AI trying to one-stop this race. Is this going to be our key to getting a good result here? Because, I mean, Tsunoda off of hard compound tyres is in at the end of lap 11 there. So, very, very peculiar goings-on. As it looks like Norris has got the jump on Max Verstappen somehow in this GP. So, at least we know those two are going to be battling for the foreseeable future. As Max doing a double soft compound stint. The AI being very strange today. I think we're going to have to dive in 1 lap earlier than originally hoped for. But 17 laps on the hard shouldn't be impossible. Oh, then making our way down in towards the final couple of corners. Into the pit lane we'll go. So, yeah, I don't think, apart from a couple of those hard compound runners, nobody has been able to take the mediums as far as we have today. Make sure we get the cars slowed down. Nice and aggressive on pit lane entry there. But Gasly under huge amounts of pressure from Norris and Verstappen through that final corner, and immediately he is going to jump out of the way as we cycle all the way down to the end of the pit lane. I think we're going to get jumped by Ocon and Tsunoda, but that's not too much of a concern right now. Carlos Sainz, new fastest lap of the day, sorry, so it's going to be him jumping us. So we actually haven't been undercut, as badly as I thought we would. Coming back out onto the circuit in P5. But now we've got to look after these tyres, and, more importantly, hope that we don't get a safety car, because that would be really bad. Well, there we go. There we go. Verstappen back into the pit lane then, so this will give us a good idea as to what we should be expecting in towards the final few laps. What will our gap to the Dutchman be? Because this is what we've got to try and defend towards the end. He's opted for a set of mediums. He's going to have a few cars to potentially navigate as well, depending on when some of these other drivers peel back into the pit lane. So try and get the power down out of turn 1 and turn 2. So we've probably got a good 10 seconds over the Dutchman. But it would not surprise me if he was over a second a lap faster. Like I said, we've just got to be really strategic with this. But we know, Lando Norris is going to be even closer behind after he pits, because he was comfortably ahead. Oh, Bortoletto's gone. Oh, we got a safety car. Is that good? I don't know.
No overtaking, reduce your pace. Keep your delta number positive as we form up. Okay, slow down, slow down. Your delta's negative, which means you're going too fast. Reduce your pace.
No idea what's happened to Gabriel Bortoletto then late on in the day is, we don't have a fresh set of medium compound tyres, so I think what we're going to have to do, bolt on a set of softs, hope the safety car stays out for at least a few laps here, and then try and just drag a set of soft compound rubber to the end of the GP. But yeah, poor old Gabriel Bortoletto. Audi suffering their first retirement of the year, I believe, with that. So both our new teams, Cadillac and Audi, really, really struggling in today's Grand Prix. One person this definitely does score over is Max Verstappen Of course, yeah, just after making his pit stop. Obviously, everybody else now is effectively going to get a cheap one. But, yeah, Carlos Sainz, Lando Norris both in a good spot. No, he's not. I got no idea what Mark is on about. He just seems to believe everybody in this game is Oscar Piastri there. But, yeah, pretty much everybody else then diving in. You can see one of those Mercedes is going to be opting for a set of the hard compounded tyre. So they should be pretty comfortable to the end of the afternoon. But this is a big gamble by us in the Cadillac team. I'm not entirely sure how well these are going to hang on. Well, 7 laps to go then here of the Bahrain Grand Prix. 5 cars from 5 different teams making up your top 5. But we are ready to go green flag racing once again here in Bahrain. I've put as little wear through these tyres as I possibly could over the last few laps. But when is Norris going to go? Oh, there we go. Been caught napping just a little bit there, but hopefully we can carry the speed. Look at that Sainz. Absolutely not getting the power down out of that final corner. To the inside, we will go immediately as Lando Norris coming under pressure from Max Verstappen. Still got to try and get some temperature into these tyres there as down the inside of the MasterCard McLaren we will go. And up then back into P3 of this GP. Will that top 2 fight? Will it give us an opportunity just to hang a little bit closer? I got to be careful with my battery management towards the end of the afternoon, but we've only won 1 race inside this series, and that was back at Monaco in Season 1. Helped, of course, by the fact the AI are terrible around the Monaco Grand Prix inside this game. This is our best opportunity to win a legitimate race so far inside the My Team career mode here. Just got to try and find a way around these guys. I've got to be careful, though, with the tyres. I've got to be careful with the battery, everything like that. We've got to give ourselves a good fighting chance. I'm kind of hoping these two can squabble. Let's not forget, if Verstappen wins this race, no Formula 1 driver has won the opening 3 Grand Prix of a season and then not gone on to win the championship. It would be a fantastic omen for the Dutchman. The closest we've ever seen to not continuing, that was Nico Rosberg back in 2016 there. Down in towards the final couple of corners. Will the Dutchman now be able to get a run on Norris, despite the fact that the Ferrari, pit later. He actually went for a harder compounded tyre, so I'm not too sure why.
DRS is now online.
Verstappen not able to get a run back down in towards turn 1, but we've got a nice lead over Russell and Sainz behind. So I'm just going to take it easy for now, make sure that these tyres can go the distance. They should be good, but they'll be a little bit slippery towards the end. Oh, Verstappen, he is hounding him. Oh, we got another incident behind. I think a McLaren. That must be Carlos Sainz then, so that might explain why he was so slow off of the restart. Oh, he's just had a little bit of a wobble. I think he's been able to keep going then in this GP, as now you can see Verstappen shortly is going to try and line up a move on Norris back in towards turn 1. Will the Ferrari man be able to really fight it? Oh, we've gone in way too hot. Contact with Max Verstappen there. We'll let them both back through, as that's the 2nd time today I've made that error there. Just completely locked the rears up. And somehow we avoid giving anybody damage, I'm pretty certain. I think Verstappen remains unscathed from that. That got a little bit scary. We've got more yellows. We've got more yellows. I think we've had a roadblock further behind. Could this be a red flag late on in the day? Yes, it is. What on earth has happened?
Watch your delta. Make sure you keep it positive as we catch the pack.
Carnage, carnage towards the end of the the Bahrain Grand Prix even, I should say here. But now, effectively, I believe we've got a 3-lap sprint, but everybody is going to be on softs.
Let's think very carefully about our strategy for the rest of this race.
Oh, this makes me nervous. High stakes here towards the end of the Bahrain Grand Prix. 5 red lights are on. Lights out, and away we go there. Verstappen, he's done very well. So has Russell and Leclerc behind me, though. We're going to be almost 4 wide down in towards turn 1. We are going to be 4 wide by the time we get down in towards turn 1. They're trying to outbrake a few of those cars around me as we get a warning for a collision with Charles Leclerc there. Not too sure what I could have done, as Verstappen then immediately trying to have a look back down the inside of Lando Norris up towards the top of the hill. The Ferrari man trying to withstand the pressure late on in the day.
First place.
But 3 laps to the checkered flag there. Can we potentially try and have a look for a run past Max Verstappen? Down the inside of the hairpin we will go. And a big, brave manoeuvre. But up into P2 then of this GP late on in the day. Again, we've got to be careful with the ERS management. But what was turning into quite a calm Bahrain Grand Prix has gone absolutely wild towards the end.
Now enabled.
There's just nothing we can do in a straight line. Nothing we can do against Verstappen at the moment. Back down the inside he'll go, down at turn 1, and you can see how much battery I used over the space of that lap. Will the Dutchman be in the range of Lando Norris? Yes, he will. So hopefully we can try and use him to get a bit closer back to the Ferrari. But, I mean, how can I compete against that Red Bull? It is so fast. Well, this has got to be the closest I've come to fighting for victory inside this career mode in a long old time. Maybe with the exception of that Monaco Grand Prix. But out of the final corner then, will Verstappen be able to get a run on Lando Norris back down towards turn 1? We've got Leclerc now breathing down my neck. But here goes the Dutchman. Will Norris defend? Yes, he will. Verstappen tries to have a look around the outside in towards that first corner. We've now got Leclerc trying to have a look down our inside as Norris and Verstappen launch it through the turn 2 curbs. This is critical towards the end of the Grand Prix there as Verstappen, a power move down the inside of the Ferrari. Can we go all the way around the outside of Lando Norris up over the top of the hill there? I think we might just about get it hooked up as we will turn across his nose and up then into P2 of the Grand Prix. But Verstappen flexing his muscle, flexing the confidence and belief he has got in that Red Bull car right now. Very, very happy that we're able to get ahead of Norris as well. But surely, unless Verstappen makes a little bit of an error or something happens, I don't think we're going to be able to do a lot. In fact, Norris might end up finishing off the podium here. Chaos towards the end of the Grand Prix. I know I've said it countless times, trying to send it, seeing if we can stay closer to Verstappen on the run back around towards the checkered flag. The Dutchman, he has not been given the best strategy today, but he has persevered, he has not given up. He's been a little bit lucky, it must be said as well. Down in towards the final corner, Max Verstappen, he is going to make it 3 wins from 3 to kickstart the campaign. Out of the final corner, it looks like Leclerc has jumped Lando Norris as well. We will come through for P2.
It's another victory and a champion's performance from Max Verstappen.
And they're just starting to make it look easy out there. Now a hat-trick of wins. They're out there ahead. They've got the momentum on their side. And it's for the others now to try and up their game to stop that energy that they have.
It's been a hard afternoon of brilliant racing, but now it's time for some proper celebrations. The podium awaits. One of the all-time greats celebrates yet again. It's another podium, it's another top step for Max Verstappen.
Well, there we are then. I didn't even realise all the chaos that was going on behind towards the checkered flag. But Max Verstappen, pole position, fastest lap, race victory. It's just what he does so far this season, isn't it? We really wanted to try and give him a run for his money, but we had to try and make moves late on in the day there, manage the ERS and everything else. I cannot complain about P2, but boy oh boy, I want another win this season. Charles Leclerc just jumped Lando Norris in the end. Questions will be raised about Lando on that last lap. How on earth did he let so many cars through? George Russell in 5th, just ahead of Pierre Gasly. Tsunoda just ahead of Antonelli, with Lawson and Jack Doohan there rounding out your top 10. So a great result by a few of those guys as well, picking up some all-important points there. Franco Colapinto will be a bit disappointed. 5-second penalties for both Carlos Sainz and Esteban Ocon completely scuppered the end of their race, as that was very, very damaging for both of them. Hulkenberg just ahead of Zach O'Sullivan, Paul, Aaron, Lance Stroll there, and yeah, the Audi and Cadillac of Bortoletto and Albon respectively, both failing to see the checkered flag. What does that do to our championship standings? Well, it means now Verstappen already has a 33-point lead up at the top of the table. Consistent results for Lando Norris and I, though. I mean, we are still up in P2 and P3, just ahead of Yuki and Charles. Esteban Ocon still just ahead of George Russell there, as we've got a nice big buffer ahead of those Mercedes boys. Gasly now in a Mercedes sandwich, just ahead of Carlos Sainz, who admittedly has been rather unlucky so far there. Antonelli on the board, just ahead of Colapinto, Lawson and Doohan as well with all important points. But now Alexander Albon last in the Drivers' Championship as well. Constructors-wise, Red Bull 25 clear of Ferrari. We actually now jump both McLaren and Mercedes up into P3 there. So very, very happy with the performances so far. Just VCarb and Audi yet to score a point. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready on the Jeddah Corniche.